Right now, I'm suspended 300 feet in the air, hanging from a makeshift rope of tied-up hammock straps. Thousands of giant Asian honeybees are swarming my face, their stings just millimeters from my skin. My gear is jamming, my hands are cramping, and there is no safety net. Today, we're going on a high-stakes solo climb to harvest wild cliff honey. Can we get down in one piece? Let's find out. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you've ever wondered what it feels like to stand on the edge of a giant granite dome, looking down at a sheer 300-foot drop with nothing but a few tied-up ropes keeping you from the canopy below, well, today you're about to find out. We are deep in the mountainous forests of Vietnam. Behind me is a massive, smooth granite rock face. It's slick, it's steep, and somewhere halfway down that vertical wall is our target, a wild beehive of Apis dorsata, the giant Asian honeybee. Now, before we even think about going over the edge, let's talk about preparation. In this line of work, we don't have fancy, high-tech mountaineering gear. Most of what I use is homemade, repurposed, or bought from local hardware stores. Take a look at what I've got laid out here on the rock. I'm wearing basic cotton trousers, a heavy hoodie, and rubber boots. For my hands, I've got these bright pink rubber dishwashing gloves. Yes, they look a bit funny, but they are thick enough to prevent bee stings while still giving my fingers the dexterity I need to handle ropes and knives. For my face, I'm using a hoodie modified with a steel mesh wire screen, kind of like a fencing mask. It's hot, it's hard to breathe in, but when thousands of angry giant bees are swarming your face, this mask is the only thing between you and a trip to the hospital. Let's talk about the rope setup. This is where things get a bit sketchy. The only sturdy anchor point, a solid tree trunk, is located far back from the cliff's edge. Because of that distance, a standard rope wasn't long enough. So I had to tie 4 hammock straps together to get a total length of about 80 meters, roughly 260 feet. Tying ropes together creates a huge problem: knots. These bulky knots are going to be a nightmare to pass through my descending ring later on, but we'll deal with that when we get there. First, we need to address a silent killer: friction. As the rope hangs over the sharp, abrasive granite edge, the constant sawing motion of my descent can fray and cut the rope in seconds. To prevent this, I'm using an old winter puffer jacket. I fold it up and place it directly under the rope right where it meets the edge. It acts as a friction guard. It's a simple trick, but it is literally a lifesaver. Next, I tie my homemade harness. I loop the rope around my thighs and waist, securing it with a series of tight knots. I attach my heavy steel descender ring. Again, it's a manual, traditional setup. There are no automatic brakes here. If I let go of the rope, I fall. It requires constant grip, physical strength, and a very calm mind. All right, my backpack is on. My heavy-duty harvesting knife is secured to my leg, and the pink gloves are on. Let's do this. Stepping over the edge of a cliff is a feeling you never truly get used to. Your survival instinct is screaming at you to step back, but you have to force your feet to find purchase on the smooth rock. As I begin my descent, the world below opens up. The forest canopy looks like a green carpet far, far below. The wind starts to pick up, gently pushing me against the rock. Every step requires absolute focus. Granite is unpredictable. A patch of dried moss or a bit of loose dust can cause your boot to slip instantly. I'm slowly feeding the rope through my hands, leaning back so my body is perpendicular to the cliff face. It's exhausting on the thighs and calves. The weight of my gear and the gravity pulling me down make every inch a workout. I can hear them before I see them. It starts as a low, ominous hum, like a high-voltage power line buzzing in the wet air. There it is. Hanging on a slight overhang on the white granite wall is a massive, dark crescent shape. It's the wild honeycomb, completely covered by a thick, writhing blanket of giant bees. These aren't your gentle garden bees. Apis dorsata are highly defensive. They don't just sting, they chase. As I slide down the last few feet to position myself right next to the hive, the guard bees take flight. Suddenly, the low hum turns into a chaotic roar. Hundreds, then thousands of bees are buzzing aggressively around my head. They bump against my steel mesh mask, making loud clack-clack sounds. Some of them manage to find small folds in my hoodie, searching for any exposed skin. You have to stay calm here. If you panic, thrash around, or breathe too heavily, you will inhale bees, or worse, lose your grip on the rope. I take deep, slow breaths, letting the bees do their thing while I focus entirely on the harvest. Now comes the tricky part. Because I am suspended in midair, I keep swinging back and forth away from the rock. To stabilize myself, I have to use my boots to clamp onto the rock structure right next to the hive, wedging my feet to hold my body still. With one hand holding my weight on the rope, I use my pink gloved hand to gently brush away the thick layer of bees covering the honeycomb. It feels like brushing a living, vibrating velvet fabric. As the bees clear, they reveal the golden, glistening honey-filled comb underneath. It is beautiful. I pull out my harvesting knife. In traditional honey hunting, we never take the entire hive. Sustainability is key. I carefully inspect the structure to locate the brood comb, the area where the baby bees and larvae are. I will cut away only the top portion, which is packed with pure, raw honey, leaving the brood comb completely intact. This allows the colony to rebuild, rear new bees, and continue to thrive. I make a clean, horizontal slice. The smell of fresh, wild tropical honey instantly fills the air, mixing with the sharp scent of bee alarm pheromones. The honey is incredibly thick, slowly dripping down the rock. I quickly catch the honeycomb piece and transfer it into a heavy-duty plastic bag, sealing it tight to prevent leaks before packing it into my canvas backpack. As I lower myself further down the rope, I feel a sudden, jarring stop. My descender ring has hit the first knot, the point where two of my hammock ropes are tied together. Because the knot is bulky and homemade, it's too large to pass through the metal descending eyelet. I am now suspended roughly 80 feet in midair, completely helpless, hanging from a single point. I can't go down, and climbing back up with a heavy backpack full of honey is nearly impossible. My heart rate spikes. The heat inside my mesh mask is suffocating, and the sweat is stinging my eyes. I have to rely on raw upper body strength. Holding my entire body weight with my left hand, I pull out my knife with my right. I don't use it to cut the rope. That would be suicide. Instead, I carefully use the flat blade and the tip to pry open the tight loop around my descender, forcing the thick knot through the metal ring millimeter by millimeter. It is a grueling, tense process. If my hand slips or if the rope gets damaged, it's over. After what feels like an eternity, I hear a satisfying click. The knot passes through. I slide down another 20 feet, only to hit the next knot. I have to repeat the entire process all over again, suspended in the air, fighting gravity and fatigue. Finally, my boots touch the solid, mossy rocks at the base of the dome. I release my tension on the rope and collapse onto a ledge, gasping for fresh air. I pull off the hot mesh mask and the sweaty pink gloves. My hands are shaking from the adrenaline and the physical exertion. But we made it. Looking at the bag of pure, golden wild honey in my pack, I can say it was worth it. But let this be a warning to anyone watching. Never attempt this alone. Usually, we do this in teams of 3 or 4 people for safety. Doing this solo is incredibly dangerous. Thank you all for joining me on this wild ride. If you enjoyed the adventure, please hit that subscribe button, leave a comment, and I'll see you on the next ridge. Stay safe out there. Bye.